Welcome back. So I'm reading from the narrative of Moses Ropa. So I'll just jump into the story. So my master took me home, and as he was going to send a load of cotton to Camden, about 40 miles distance, he sent me with bales of cotton to be sold with it, where I was soon sold to a gentleman named Allen. But Mr. Allen soon exchanged me for a female slave to please his wife. The traders who bought me were named Cooper and Lindsay, who took me for sale but could not sell me, people objecting to my being rather white. Then they took me to the city of Fayetteville, North Carolina, where he swapped me for a boy that was blacker than me to Mr. Smith, who lived several miles off. I was with Mr. Smith nearly a year. I arrived at the knowledge of my age when I lived with him. I was then between 12 and 13 years old. It was when President Jackson was elected the first time, and he has been president 8 years. So I must be nearly 21 years of age. At this time I was quite a small boy, and I was sold to Mr. Hodge, a Negro trader. Here I don't know if the trader is black or he means he trades in black people. And also I'm concerned, as a child, you need that formative stability, and he's just going from place to place. Here I began to enter into hardships. After traveling several hundred miles, Mr. Hodge sold me to a Mr. Gooch, the cotton planter, Cashaw County, South Carolina. He purchased me at a town called Liberty Hill, and 3 miles from his home. As soon as he got home, he immediately put me on his cotton plantation to work and put me under overseers, gave me allowance of meat and bread with the other slaves, which was not half enough for me to live upon, and very laborious work. Here my heart was almost broke with grief at leaving my fellow slaves. Mr. Gooch did not mind my grief, for he flogged me nearly every day and very severely. Mr. Gooch bought me for his son-in-law, Mr. Hammonds, about 5 miles from his residence. This man had but 2 slaves beside myself. He treated me very kindly for a week or 2, but in summer, when cotton was ready to hoe, he gave me a task work connected with this department, which I could not get done, not having worked on cotton farms before. When I failed in my task, he commenced flogging me and set me to work without any shirt in the cotton field in a very hot sun in the month of July. Can you imagine that? Scorching sun. In August, Mr. Condell, his overseer, gave me a task at pulling fodder. Having finished my task before night, I left the field. The rain came on, which soaked the fodder. On discovering this, he threatened to flog me for not getting in the fodder before the rain came. This was the first time I attempted to run away, knowing that I should get a flogging. I was then between 13 and 14. I ran away to the woods half naked. I was caught by a slaveholder who put me in Lancaster jail. When they put slaves in jail, they advertised for their masters to own them. But if the master does not claim his slave in 6 months from the time of imprisonment, the slave is sold for jail fees. When the slave runs away, the master always adopts a more rigorous system of flogging. This was the case in the present instance. After this, having determined from my youth to gain my freedom, I made several attempts, was caught, got a severe flogging of 100 lashes each time. Mr. Hammonds was a very severe and cruel master, and his wife still worse. She used to tie me up and flog me while naked. So sometimes, this is me, sometimes I'm thinking they had these sexual fetishes with black bodies, because there's no reason to flog a boy naked, and you as a woman, and especially when they used to have these false modesty things going on. That is just deeper than that. Continuing, after Mr. Hammond saw that I was determined to die in the woods and not live with him, he tried to obtain a piece of land from his father-in-law, Mr. Gooch. Not having the means of purchasing it, he exchanged me for the land. As soon as Mr. Gooch had possession of me again, knowing that I was adverse to going back to him, he chained me by the neck to his chaise. In this manner, he took me to his home at McDaniel's Ferry in the county of Chester, a distance of 15 miles. So he was just walking him behind his, I think that's like the car of a donkey or something, one of those old-fashioned things. After which he put me into a swamp to cut trees, the heaviest work which men of 25 or 30 years of age have to do, I being but 16. Here I was on very short allowance of food, and having heavy work was too weak to fulfill my task. For this I got many severe floggings, and after I got my irons off, I made another attempt at running away. He took my irons off in full anticipation that I could never get across the Catawba River, even when at liberty. On this, I procured a small Indian canoe, which was tied to a tree, and ultimately got across the river in it. I then wandered through the wilderness for several days without any food, and but a drop of water to allay my thirst, till I became so starved that I was obliged to go to a house to beg for something to eat, when I was captured again and imprisoned. Mr. Gooch, having heard of me through advertisement, sent his son after me. He tied me up and took me back to his father. Mr. Gooch then obtained the assistance of another slaveholder and tied me up in his blacksmith's shop and gave me 50 lashes with a cowhide. He then put a long chain weighing 25 pounds round my neck and sent me into the field, into which he followed me with the cowhide, intending to set his slaves to flog me again. Knowing this and dreading to suffer again in this way, I gave him the slip. I got out of his sight, he having stopped to speak with the other slaveholder. I got to the canal on the Catawba River, on the banks of which, and near to a lock, I procured a stone and a piece of iron, with which I forced the ring off my chain and got it off, and then crossed the river and walked about 20 miles, when I fell in with a slaveholder named Ballard, who had married the sister of Mr. Hammonds. I knew that he was not so cruel as Mr. Gooch, and therefore begged of him to buy me. Mr. Ballard, who was one of the best planters in the neighborhood, said that he was not able to buy me, and stated that he was obliged to take me back to my master on account of the heavy fines attaching to a man harboring a slave. Mr. Ballard proceeded to take me back. As he came in sight of Mr. Gooch, all the treatment that I had met with there came forcibly upon my mind, the powerful influence of which is beyond description. On my knees, with tears in my eyes, with terror in my countenance, and fervency in all my features, I implored Mr. Ballard to buy me, but he again refused, and I was taken back to my dreaded and cruel master. Having reached Mr. Gooch's, he proceeded to punish me. He did by first tying my wrists together and placing them over my knees. He then put a stick through under my knees and over my arms, and thus he secured my arms. He proceeded to flog me and gave me 500 lashes on my bare back. This may appear incredible, but the marks which they left at present remain on my body, a standing testimony to the truth of this statement of his severity. He then chained me down in a log pen with a 400-pound chain, a 40-pound chain, and made me lie on the damp earth all night. In the morning, after his breakfast, he came to me and, without giving me any breakfast, tied me to a large heavy barrow, which is usually drawn by a horse, and made me drag it to the cotton field, for the horse to use in the field. Thus the reader will see that it was of no possible use to my master to make me drag it to the field and not through it. His cruelty went so far as actually to make me the slave of his horse and thus to degrade me. He then flogged me again and set me to work in the cornfield the whole of that day, and at night chained me down in the log pen as before. The next morning he took me to the cotton field and gave me a third flogging and set me to hoe cotton. At this time I was dreadfully sore and weak with the repeated floggings and harsh treatment I had endured. He put me under a black man with orders that if I did not keep my row up in hoeing with this man, he was to flog me. The reader must recollect here that not being used to this kind of work, having been a domestic slave, it was quite impossible for me to keep up with him. Therefore, I was repeatedly flogged during the day. I'll stop here. Yeah, we see the cruel nature of it, but I'm sure we all know how cruel it was. But yeah, just being tossed around. But the worst part for me is that he's still a child, he's still a teen. All the rebellion and running away is a part of his development, and how this is being thwarted, and how he's being malnourished, and how he's being forced to labor so his labor can be stolen. Very wicked. Tell me what you think. Thanks so much for listening.